Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. My name is Ryan, and today, with once again just me, Hunter is not able to make it today. I have a special guest that is Paolo Greco of Lost Pages. How you doing today, Paolo?
Hey, I'm really good. How you doing, Ryan?
You know, not too bad. We are Excellent. Here. No one but us knows this, but it has been months in the making to make this happen, and I'm very excited that we are finally getting here. Yeah. But yes, we're here. We finally get a chance to meet, to say hi, to say, hey, I'm a big fan. I like the stuff you make. So thank you so much for making it.
We're trying really hard. I'm starting to say we because like the Lost Pages is not as much as anymore as like me being in a bedroom, but like we're getting more and more people in to work on books. And I'm really happy with like I'm trying to put together like a core team of people. It's fascinating and strange to have a team. I don't say that I run, but it's kind of like my publisher, so I pay them. So like
you coordinate.
Yeah.
It's just together all the cats.
Yeah, I corral the cat.
So for those that don't know, who the heck are you, and what's Lost Pages?
So I'm Paolo. I was born in Milan way too many years ago. I came to Scotland about 20 years ago. 20 years in 2 months, actually. I live in Glasgow. I was in Switzerland for a while. And I normally, like my day job is I do IT for a big cancer research charity. That's my main client. And when night falls, I take my laptop out and do role-playing games, publish role-playing games. Lost Pages is a small press publisher, mostly devoted to arcane, occult, wizardry stuff. We've been doing this since 2012, and mostly it happened because nobody else would publish the spell books that we wanted to see. And I began literally by annoying bloggers, asking them, hey, why don't you publish your books with the spells that you put in your blog? And they were like, but they're free on the blog. Why would anybody buy a book? And we're like, people will buy the book. We'll make a nice book. And that's how it began. And that's pretty much still what I'm doing. Nothing changed. It's been, 12 years. Nothing has changed. Except maybe the production values have gone like up a bit. Originally, like in the first few years, I picked up like bookbinding, like traditional bookbinding. So I was doing some hand-bound books. There was like the basic paperback edition of the books and also the fancy hand-bound hardcover that I was doing personally, but I don't have the time or want to do that kind of work anymore. So instead of having just paperbacks, we've gone back to actually print nice hardcovers and like or a boxed set or what else. And for our new titles, we're actually like gonna hit some printers that are used by big names like the Folio Society in order to push production values even more.
Like, I feel like I know Folio Society as just like these are targeted ads at me of these like insanely beautiful but expensive books. Is that who I think it is? Yes, it is.
Society.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. They make some very, very beautiful books.
They do indeed. And we're going to use actually like one day I was like, hey, how I saw this book. I'm a publisher. Would you mind telling me which printer you use? And like within 1 hour, they were like, yeah, sure. Here is the contact. Like zero gatekeeping, 100% awesome. Excellent. also love their stuff. And we have like a small collection of mostly second-hand for the society books in the house. We have like the Bayo tapestry, we have the Baby Dungeon, we have the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm sure we'll get more. But yeah.
Yeah, books are one of those things, like once you really start like collecting them and like starting to like dig into them a little bit, you're like, fuck, like this is forever now, this sucks, but it's great, but it's like terrible. Man, there goes my wallet.
It's terrible, you know? It's just terrible. It's like such a money sink, and like because so books are pretty also on the inside because they're full of like good words or images, but they can also be pretty on the outside. And then after you start going after those, you start falling into a rigmarole of like materials and techniques and bindings, and you start. No, not you. I mean, like, I went down this bizarre winding path of like book publisher history, which actually led to the book design for Book of Gaub, for example. Book of Gaub is cosplaying as yes, that one. Book of Gaub is cosplaying as a book published by the Doves Press, which is this printing press that was in London, run by Richard Cobden Sanderson. Cobden Sanderson was a bookbinder, and he was part of the original crowd of the arts and crafts movement. He actually came up with the terms arts and crafts. One night he was having dinner, and like the wife of William Morris asked him, "But Dick, why don't you open a printing press? With your taste, it would be incredible." It was like, "No, I'm a binder." But Dick, you should totally open a printing press. And this went on for a while. So he designed this type together with like some other incredible people. He had it cut, and like you could not buy this type. It was just used internally by Doves Press. And then there is this like mystery that happened with like his business partner, and his business partner wanted to sell the type and it didn't, and eventually agreed to sell his quota of the company to his business partner. And the day his business partner took over, all the type was gone. There were no punches, there were no molds, there was no type. And apparently Cobden Sanderson, across months, just like literally put types in his bag and dumped them in the River Thames at night after he left work. So I used the Dove types, I used the font. And for a while, there was a digital font that was done based on the Doves type, but they didn't have the metal type. So they just rebuilt it from printed material, which is complicated because paper changes shape as you press it. So depending on type of ink, moisture, type of paper, and so on, and also how tight the press is, for example, what's printed is actually different. So they secured salvage rights from the City of London, and they found a bunch, like literally on the last hour of salvage rights that they had booked. They find a bunch of the type in the river, which is. Yeah, it's a story of its own. They find it like incredibly beautiful. Anyway, the type is a thing of beauty, but it's very idiosyncratic, and that's why we don't use it for everything.
Yeah. So everything that has happened is so Weekly Scroll that it makes me so happy. It was like, hi, here's an incredible tangent of this amazing story that just happened. But that's incredible. I definitely want to look up more of that. But so one thing you said in all of that kind of struck me is 2012. I know you guys have been around for a while. I did not think it hurts me to say this that long ago because it feels like yesterday to me because I again am too many years from birth. But 2012 is a long time, especially in like the indie and indie publishing scene. I mean, that is like deep back in the old days of this very niche spice.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the early days of Google Plus. Um, it was when I guess the second wave of the OSR started to become more like a thing. So we started to, I don't want to say evolve, but there was like after the first wave, like a reconstruction and studying of the elders, let's say the elders of the church. There was a second wave that was basically read all that material and decided what to keep and what not to keep. And so, for example, like people, like personally, something that like I feel like we pushed for was like make magic more interesting. D&D magic is very utilitarian and very rigid, and also very, in a way, powerful, but very narrow and small in their effects. So spells don't usually last long, for example. So I decided to push against that in every possible way. And for example, like in Wonder Weakness, we removed spell levels. In Chthonic Codex, I deliberately pushed to have parallel spellcasting mechanics with, yeah, that one. Oh my God, I made that with my hands.
This is absolutely. You know what's funny is because I opened it up to be like, wait a minute, what's the date inside this? Is this much older than I thought it was?
2014.
2014.
I began writing that in 2012.
Yeah. Yeah, this, for those that somehow get their hands on Chthonic Codex, this is an amazing little box set. I was very, very happy to spend as much money as I did to get this. So this is a wonderful piece of small press amazingness. So
yeah, again, Wonder Weakness removed spell levels. Chthonic Codex added like bizarre ways to cast spells and like got away with spell memorizations. And in general, that's kind of the direction we're going. Giving more tools to be more useful to the wizard even at low levels, because the wizard in D&D has this thing where like often they do one thing that is very impactful, like the wizard can save the party in one round. Like they have this thing that in one round can entirely do the campaign or undo it, which is strong, but it's very rigid the way the original design implemented it. And we're making it a bit more bendy. Also, we're adding, like something that we've been doing also is make magic more, maybe like you can use a bit less in a safe way, but you can use more in an unsafe way. So there is this bargain of power going on where maybe you have like less spells than you would ordinarily have, but when you run out of them, you can still use magic, but there is a price. And it's not clear what the price is, depending on the circumstances and depending on which rules of magic you break. That's how I essentially like set up the system for overcasting. There are several rules of magic. For example, one is that once you are out of power, it's going to tax you. So you might take damage, or you might get stunned for a period of time, or similar things. Or like if you cast spells that you haven't learned, there is a chance that might go astray. If you cast these circumstances. And every time you do it, we also have to make a charisma roll. And if the charisma roll is good, that's fine. If the charisma roll fails, there is a catastrophe. And there is like, we're accumulating giant tables of catastrophes. I think in Wonder Weakness there are 82, and I think there are 100 in Book of Gaub. And those are for the moment, enough. Yes, the little snake.
Yes. So Lost Pages, you said it started in 2012. Why Lost Pages? Like, what was the impetus for that kind of name? Because it kind of sets the vibe for a lot of what you guys do.
I gotta step back a bit. I had a Google page. I don't know if you remember the platform Google Pages, but basically it was a way to have your web pages hosted by Google. And they were very basic pages. And my web page name was taken by my favorite D&D adventure, which is The Lost Cavalry of Zoikand. So my email also is zoikand@gmail.com. And so I made a page, a D&D page called The Lost Pages of Zoikand. And that was the original name of the blog. And then it became just Lost Pages because I couldn't use Zoikand. Zoikand at WordPress.com is still my blog address after I don't know how many years. So that's the reason. Lost Pages has also this like strong tone of Zoikand misplacing his notes, but also recovering old spell books and old books. Yeah.
No, it fits. I love it. It's so vibey. It's interesting to be like, I loved this thing, and then I took half of its name, and now my press, like, it just fits. It's great. One thing that I've always wanted to ask is the numbers in the book. So you number the issues of your releases. I think the earliest issue of something that I have is probably Chthonic Codex. This is issue 4. So I don't know what 1, 2, and 3 are. But
so 1. Oh, sorry. Yes.
No, go for it. No, please explain.
No, just ask me. Just ask me.
Oh, well, so then we'll get to it. But some of the books, though, are not numbered. They're like extra. So this is issue 14, but I believe it's like Macchiato Monsters is like an extra numero. Is that what it is? Like extra numero issue. What's that? What's up with that?
So every numbered issue is an arcane book. And it could be either a spell book, could be like a book about portals like Kefitz Haderach, or could be like a book about a whale god like Genial Jack. So issue 1 is Pergamino Barocco, which is this weird spell book that we're going to kickstart a revised edition, possibly later on this year. And that's what the Folio Society printer comes into. And the first edition was a concertina book, hardcover that I bound myself. And it was about 20-something pages. And it was meant to be a vertical scroll, but then it was like 3 meters of vertical scrolls, 4 meters, and nobody has a wall that is that tall in the house, except if you have stairs. But then it's not easy to read all of it because it was made to be used at the table, but also displayed all at once. Books have this unfortunate thing where they are almost impossible to be displayed all at once, unless they're concertina books. Back to the books. So the first one is actually Pergamino Barocco by Roger. Roger has this blog that has been going on for even longer than mine. It's called Rolls and Rules and Rolls. And he put up this Baroque spell. And basically every spell, instead of being like, D&D spells are usually like a couple of paragraphs, but kind of dry. The way they're written. So Roger wrote spells that were 1 or 2 pages long with these very atmospheric period public domain illustrations. And so he was the first one that I reached out and said, hey, why don't we make a book with the spells from your blog? And so that's issue number 1. And then the people that bought the hardcover, it was only hardcover. Like you could not buy in any other format. Issue number 2 is contraband. As in like, when you bought Pergamino Barocco, you got it in a box. Within the padding of the box, there was a hidden compartment where a tiny spell book of black magic was hidden. And I would not tell people. Basically, I made this like A7, possibly A8 spell book with some truly horrible spells. One of them, for example, is called reverse transubstantiation, which is transubstantiation is what happens to the holy host and the wine when they become the flesh and the blood of Jesus.
Mm.
And you cast the spell in reverse on somebody. So their flesh becomes bread and their blood becomes wine. And it's terrible. You have basically two saves, and one of them kills you, and the other one, I can't remember what happens. You take a lot of damage anyway. And this is the possibly mildest, if not, like, it's a bit blasphemous, but whatever. It was contraband. It was not even publicized it was there. You were technically not buying it. Like, right. The purchase was not for the supply of a blasphemous book. It was right. for the supply of Pergamino Barocco.
That's the coolest shit I've ever heard. That's the kind of like artifact stuff that you have no idea what I would do to find. Like, I don't know if I've ever, like, people have made awesome shit in this space, right? But if you said, hey, this is like the first thing that we made, and like there's a secret tiny book of blasphemous black magic like secretly tucked away in it, good luck if you found it, we told nobody, might be the coolest shit I've ever fucking heard.
And this was 2012. Or maybe 2013, I can't remember. Anyway, that was number 1 and 2. Number 3 is Kefitz Haderach, which is this book of portals. And it's like, I played a lot of Eye of the Beholder when I was younger. It's one of my favorite games. I played Eye of the Beholder 1, 2, and 3. They all have a bunch of magic portals. I absolutely love the shit of the magic portal. I made like a pamphlet about magic portal. Then there is Chthonic Codex. Then I believe there is Wonder of Wickedness, Marvel and Malison. I have a list. I'm not sure you want me to read the list. I don't.
No. I would like you to send me the list, but you don't have to read it.
Like, part of the plans to revamp the site is actually make a checklist, like a fancy checklist that somebody can print and mark. And like these
bucket list books.
Bucket list of books from Lost Pages. And eventually, like, the plan is to make them all available in print. But some of them were. One of them was like promotional material for a convention. Another was just like a PDF that I made on the site, and it was meant to be part of a bookbinding tutorial. Because if you play a wizard, maybe you could bind your own spell book. And
it's funny because I literally this week like made my own book. Like I got into bookbinding, I bought all the things and I put it together. It's sitting in the other room. Like, I finished it. What's today? I think I finished it like Sunday morning at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, it's a book. I'm going to do more to it because I'm going to experiment with like, in bands and stuff like that. But I made my first book. And so you're like, oh, it started with bookbinding. I'm like, is this where I'm going? Is this my future? Because I would be completely okay with that.
That might be your future. Who knows? I kind of stopped because I got like a mild anxiety about glue and ruining, because I ruined badly a couple of books that I spent so much time working on. And yeah, Chthonic Codex was either in 2 editions. There was either the box set or 33 hand-bound Coptic books, and all of them were different. So there are different cover materials, there are different styles, there are different knotwork, there are different threads, there are different, all of that stuff. And I was hand stitching even headbands. I have some pictures on the blog. Some of them had like papyrus based on as cover material, for example. Some others had like fancy Japanese washi paper and bone toggle to fasten it. Some other had a thread of different color for every section. Some other had 2 different threads of different color for every section. Some other had 3 different threads of different color for every section. Some other had 1 thread of different color for every section. Some other had 2 threads of different color for every section. Some other had 4 threads of different color for every section. Some other twined double color in this peculiar binding you can do with Coptic with 2 threads, and they're all alternating with an exposed knotwork on the spine. I don't do that stuff anymore. Well, I said I don't do that stuff anymore. 1 hour ago, I just finished literally the first video tutorial for bookbinding to put on the YouTube channel. And it's about like stitching a small pocket zine. But you go through like folding the paper from a folio. So from a folio, you get to your signature, then you stitch it, then you trim it. Like that's all the techniques you need to make a bigger book. So that's coming.
I'm very excited, and so you're saying that a lot of this is you're gonna like reprint and people like we'll be able to. I mean, second editions, it's not quite the same as like, you know, the Hidden Black Magic books, but I would. There's a lot. Again, there's very little I wouldn't do to collect all the lost pages.
So I think. Okay, I'm gonna say it here, and then I'm never gonna mention it again. But for the Pergamino Barocco, like actually adding the book to a secret compartment in the book, it would cost the unit price. It would raise the unit price so much. I don't even want to begin thinking about it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put like print in reverse a tiny URL, basically make an IRG, like an alternate reality game, sort of, where eventually you can download the PDF of the booklet and bind it yourself. Because again, it's too much work.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Also, the trick can be done once. Like the second time is just like again. Paolo, what the?
I'm gonna spend like the rest of my days now hunting down. Yeah, I'm gonna spend the rest of my days hunting down an original one though. And like, there's got to be one out there where someone like has it and doesn't know that it's there, and I'll like find it and buy it and like open it up and yeah. Oh.
The paperback edition has the spells in the back and the explanation of what we've done, and they're printed to scale. So like basically a page has almost all the spells. But yeah. Good times.
Yeah,
but yeah, rather than doing second editions, we're more like revising first editions. I don't think that they have to be. I'm gonna make them better, but I'm gonna polish them a bit more. I might add some content, but it's not going to be second editions. I don't think that what we do needs or actually is improved much by that kind of treatment, except like rule books.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I meant more of like a second edition, as in like I meant like a print second edition, not like a redo the thing second edition. Yeah.
They're definitely coming.
You have no idea how happy and excited and how I'm already thinking of saving like so I can get all these things I am, because like even this, like as soon as I got I honestly think the first lost pages I got was probably Book of Gaub. I saw this, and then the second this arrived, I was like, well, I'm obsessed now. I have to find everything, and that's when I hunted down like Chthonic Codex and everything. I mean, you do have a couple print on demands. And then obviously Macchiato Monsters. I think I actually got Macchiato Monsters and then was like, wait a minute, this is lost pages too. So that was good. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's eBay is a hell of a drug, I'll tell you what.
Oh geez. But most of those well, maybe not the box set side, but those are mostly available on print on demand. And I don't like that people profit on that. Like, okay, like the reason why I don't do hardcovers anymore by hand is because I physically don't want to. But I don't believe that like making a limited edition of a book has its own value. Like, that's just like gatekeeping. And that's why, like, we're not going to do a paperback of Gaub unless there is demand and we don't want to reprint it because it makes no sense financially. Like, it's like, I don't like making special first edition that you have to be there. And actually, I have regrets about making the patch of Beyond the Pale there only for day one backers. Like, a couple of people pointed it out. Yeah, that exactly. A couple of people pointed it out, and I was like, oh yeah, I should not have done this. This was dumb. They felt like a person was like, yeah, I just feel punished that it wasn't there on day one. Now I just can't get the patch. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you know, that's an interesting take because, like, I hear what you're saying, but I am the kind of person who is like, if there's like a small run of something, like, and I'm the kind of person who likes that I missed it years ago and then now gets to hunt it down. You know what I mean? Like, of course I want it, but when I find out that it exists, I'm like, God damn it. I will search to the end of days. I will put it on my list. And when I actually find one of those, I'm very happy to be like, because Chthonic Codex was not easy to find right away. And eventually I found it. And that, to me, like, the dopamine hit I got from like, oh, I wanted this and like I missed it, but now I have it, was like a big thing. So, like, I mean, there's definitely schools of thought on it, but from the producer side, not the consumer side, that's a great view to have from yours, where you're like, I don't want people to miss out on my stuff, so here it is, you know?
Yeah, it feels like it's gatekeeping. You understand what I mean? That's why I'm.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The hardcovers, because one, I think it's time. Two, I believe. So Pergamino Barocco had this thing, like the Concertina book, where it was made to be also an in-word artifact. So it's entirely written in a diegetic way, as in like from within the world. And so when the players find the spellbook, you are supposed to just like go like, and now you have it. And that's also something that we suggested with Gaub, and also something we suggest with the Book of the Night Wanderer from Beyond the Pale. One of the reasons why I did the bookbinding tutorial is because we recommend to hand over the Book of the Night Wanderer to players after they find it. I wish I had a copy of the Book of the Night Wanderer here. It's in the other room. And now I think, like, back in the day, I did have the cache. No, I didn't have, like, I was nobody. So if I said, hey, I'm going to make a hand-bound book that costs a lot, but it's a play artifact, people will say, okay. Then you become a publisher that says, hey, I made this spell book, but it's going to cost a lot because it's an in-word artifact. People are like, but now I'm big enough that I can justify a print run of that is not that big. Like, I have enough people following me that even if only a small part of them buy the fancy hardcover with a, like, that is going to cost something like $30 for 25 pages or something stupid like that. Given what it is, they might still be enough to justify printing a very fancy hardcover with a gilded title, a vignette, like a stick-on vignette in the middle of the cover, a butter paper wrap with printed seal. It's going to be a nice production.
Yeah,
and now I can do it. I can do it again. Essentially, I can do stupid books. And Wolf also was a stupid book.
It's not stupid, but they're beautiful, amazing books. You just get to do fun, cool, out there things with it. But so you said Wolfwald. So the new things, and you know, when we were talking about finally getting together, it was like, well, let me get Wolfwald and Beyond the Pale so I can have it when we do it or whatever. And I actually have them. We have both Wolfwald. which is a gorgeous, beautiful box set. I have to say, real quick, for people out there that make box sets, please take this one into account, because the title is on every edge. So however you decide you want to put it on your shelf, you still get to see it. When I get a box set and then like there's like writing on one side but not the other, but it goes this way in America and this way in Europe, I'm like, no, please put it on the other one. So this is beautiful, and then this book is beautiful as well, Beyond the Pale, which very closely mimics the Book of Gaub in like the style of the fabric and the embossing and everything like that. So these are your most recent outputs. One being from Yochai Gal. How are these processes?
I'm gonna start with Beyond the Pale because it's easier. There was a trance bar here in Glasgow, and it was a trance bar karaoke night. I was tipsy, and I was steaming in the corner reading Twitter, and Yochai posted some amazing illustrations that some of them, they were quite obscure and they recognized immediately. Some other were quite obscure, and I'm like, what the hell? And so I reached into, what's the expression? I slide into Yochai's DMs. I mean, me and Yochai, we've been knowing each other for a while, so it's not like it was just a random. I think Yochai has like literally every single thing I published, and what happens? It was like, hey, that book is amazing, like looks amazing. Can I have a copy? Do you have a publisher? He goes like, no. And I was like, now you do if you want. And like literally, this was May 2023. We kickstart, like we do the entire book production in 6 months. Like with layout, editing, maybe not editing, but layout, book design, whatever else, in 6 months. Start the campaign in early December, and we deliver it early because actually doing that, a fancy hardcover like that, is not complicated. It's something we can do quite reliably. Wolfald has been 10 years of development. I think I started working on Wolfald when I was in Japan in 2014, like on a trip. 2014, not 24. Yeah, that one. And I didn't think I was going to do a box set, but anyway, it went on and on and on. And we hired Russ Nicholson to do the map, and then we hired Russ Nicholson to do the character classes. And then Russ Nicholson shed had structural damage. It rained on his material, so he lost all the classes, all the art that he did for the book. So it would have had even more Russ art in it. And then what happened is that I did the Kickstarter after Gaub. The Kickstarter didn't do well for being what it is. Like basically almost nobody covered it. But for me, that was not a money project. For me, that was like a love project. And eventually, I got in like a terrible, like abusive relationship. It took me a while to recover. That's why the Kickstarter was so late. Then we had some massive problems with the printer, not with the map, but just like with the books themselves. Eventually, it shipped, and now that people have it, it's selling well. I'm really happy about it. But that also went through a number of writing of parts. I did a good amount of like development, as in like working on the rules after they've been designed and nailed down, etc. You basically hand them over to somebody else that checks for, oh, this thing and this thing that interact well. Maybe we could rewrite them to be more similar or more different, or why do we have this and not this for these two different things, and so on. Mostly that was there for the spell book. And then I asked Lee to write some part. I asked Lee to add things, like, for example, like more encounters for the campaign book, reflesh out some of the monsters. We got an editor that is Alison Kililea. She's an Irish doctor in the biblical reception of Beowulf. Sorry, not biblical, in the literary reception of Beowulf. And she collects Beowulf translations. She's doing her own, and she was incredibly delightful to work with. And yeah, Wolfeld has been a trip, not for the reasons that have anything to do with the physical aspect of Wolfeld, like the box set, the map, the 5 booklets, whatever. The text was the origin of the problems. I mean, the problems. It's like the publisher job, I guess. Like,
yeah.
If books were simple projects, the world wouldn't need publishers.
Right? You can just make your own. Yeah. No, but
make their own. It'd be fine.
Yeah. But so it is. This is. I listen. So I recommend every Lost Pages thing, right? Like, obviously, please go buy everything you possibly can from Lost Pages so we can get more Lost Pages. But Wolfwald is fantastic, right? Like, this is. First of all, as I said, the box set is absolutely stunning. I will say the only thing that I think I'm missing at all is the covers are not in the PDFs. I would love the cover.
I think I added them last month. They should be.
I'll just have to re-download
because last month.
Yeah, because the covers are absolutely stunning. The art on the cover of the box, the art all throughout the thing, throughout each one. But like the art on the covers are absolutely gorgeous. The map is stunning. I mean, this is a absolutely wonderful box set, and it's interesting because like the way that Beyond the Pale came out and the way Wolfwald came out, it like I got both in the same box. I think like they both arrived, and I will say that it might have been the nicest smelling box I've ever had because the little bag of bits that came with Beyond the Pale, I was like, what? What's funny is as soon as I got the box, before I even saw the address and stuff on it, like I smelled cinnamon or something. And I'm like, this has to be Lost Pages. This has to be this thing I'm waiting for. And then I opened it up, and yes, in fact, it is, and it still smells wonderful.
I forget about the witchy bag, the monster hunting bag. There are spices and other things in there. I forgot.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think about like the box would have like a strange smell.
Oh yeah, no, that's. I mean, it had to go from Europe to over, but yeah, literally, I opened my door, I pulled the box.
They have we ship them from the U.S.
Oh, where did they ship from here?
Spare Witch.
Oh, okay. Well, no, yeah. I remember now. I buy so much stuff from Spearwitch too that I'm like, oh no, I know what those look like. But yeah, with Jared over there. Yeah, that's it's interesting. Like I said, that they ended up coming out at the same time. Outside of those two projects that just dropped, and as you said, like we'll say reprints of the older stuff. Is there anything that you're working on right now? Anything that's going to be coming out soon from Lost Pages that you're allowed to, that you want to let us know about?
So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, as in like the first weekend of September. For those, I don't know when this episode is going to come out. There is Tabletop Scotland, and it's a local convention that's grown so much, and I absolutely love it. And every year I try to make a zine. Maybe it's an ashcan, maybe it's a weird attempt, like you have a copy of Beautiful Yet Lost there that is part of it. That was for last year's Tabletop Scotland. Beautiful Yet Lost is stuck in a weird place development-wise. This year, I try to make a zine that is about wizards before we had spells. So
Okay.
this is tied to the general vibes of Lost Pages as a strange horror publisher. We don't really go for vanilla fantasy here. And usually the adventurers are breakfast and cannot escape, which are what makes fantasy and horror two different genres.
Oh, yeah.
Or else it would be the same, essentially. Well, not the entirety of it, but like a good part of it. And what happens is that there's going to be 3 classes, and they're based around the idea is that humanity has not found a way yet to create magic weapons or to cast spells. And so there are 3 ways to solve the problem. The first one is basically a witch class, the cunning folk, and uses what's called natural magic. So the hidden proprieties of items. So, for example, if you're naked and you wear a goat skin and you start to bleed, you change shape into a giant goat. Stuff like that. Or you learn to speak the language of foxes, and if you wander around the forest and you meet a fox, they will always bring you to a hidden place. Could be good, could be bad, could be the den of a dragon, who knows? And also they do herbalism. The second class is the exorcist. So we went straight to the source of Middle Eastern. By Middle Eastern, I mean like pre-Islamic mid-Levantine magic. So it was a time where Christianity, Judaism, classical Greek religion, Mithraism, they were all like blended together in like a post-Hellenistic, very complicated world. Also Egypt, let's not forget Egyptian magic and religion. And they all blended. It was like, it's incredible. And essentially that is a strong part of like a strong base for all the development of late European magic. What happened there is that they had exorcists, and they would exorcise diseases to heal people, and they would exorcise demons to improve like mental health of people, or at least they tried. Like it didn't really work. And essentially, I made an exorcist class that can fix things by casting the demons away or the spirits away, but can also bind demons, and can also control demons, can also summon demons. And if you make them a nice offering of incense and a line of salt, maybe you can bind demons. You can summon, like, I don't know, dukes of hell. Or maybe you can control undeads and make them do whatever you want. Or even like trap them into your items. And at the point you can channel their powers for the item. So it's basically a Pokemon trainer with demons.
Okay. All right.
And the third class is a starsmith. So there is a smith, astrologer, that goes around and collects meteors. And then uses them to forge magic weapons. As in, like, hammers them and forges them into magic weapons. Yep. And there is this whole mechanic that depending on the time of the night when they fell, and depending on the orientation for which they fell, and the month they fall from a part of the zodiac. And so there is this diagram that you fill in with the fragments, and you calculate the elemental essences and the mobility cardinal essences and the signs. And depending on how well balanced they are, they have different magic powers. And with these, I'm like the first, let's say, 2 tiers, there are +1, +2, +3, and the basic D&D magic swords like light or charm or protection or luck or whatever. But if you have enough in a single star sign, you can make a unique sword. So, for example, the Sword of the Virgin, I don't remember what the name is. It has the powers of its element and also the strong power of its element, but it also has the power, because Virgin is very much tied with like perfection. You can reroll 6 dice every day as a unique power for the sword. And they're all +3 swords that for D&D is like the place to be. Like there is nothing immune to +3 swords in traditional D&D. And it's also a lot, a +3 to hit. But also, when you forge them, you have to make a number of rolls to forge them well. And if you fail a roll, you can either reduce the powers or make it intelligence, because intelligence in a sword is a curse on the bearer.
Yeah. Yep.
So you could have a +2 sword that does a lot of stuff, or a +3 intelligent sword that does way more things.
Yeah. Intelligent swords are also a curse to the GM too, because you always forget to make him talk. But
That's very good.
But that sounds extraordinarily Lost Pages. I'm very 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 excited for that. So, God, I want to talk for like 2 more hours, but I know our time is a little bit limited today. I have to though. I know that we took months and months to get you on for this episode, but I promise that it won't take that long to get you to come on again. I would love to have you. I would love to have you back, especially once you start doing like the reprints and stuff like that. Is if that's gonna be a thing that you want to talk about, I would love if you would come back.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah. Listen, at this point, we're really peeling back on interviews so we can focus more on interviews. But people like you are open invitation. If you're just like, hey, how does October look? I'll be like, pick a day. I'm down. Just let me know.
Yeah, that's fine. We should do that.
I'm super down. But so where can people, all the things we talked about today, where can people find those? Like if you're watching, at least on the screen, you'll see the website in the corner. But where can people find all of the Lost Pages stuff? Where can they find you?
So we have a generic homepage, which is very bare, and it's lostpages.co.uk. The shop is at shop.lostpages.co.uk. We are on Blue Sky. I think I'm Lost Pages or Lost Paolo there. I'm Lost Paolo on Twitter, and Lost Pages was taken already. And on Instagram, I'm Pages Lost. And I'm trying to put some more content on Instagram because I feel it's a platform that has a bit more traction for our stuff. And I have a YouTube channel where there isn't much. It's usually the place where we put our Kickstarter videos. But there's going to be a new video on the YouTube channel this week, and I'm going to add a link to the homepage. We also have a newsletter that goes out like 3-4 times a year for new titles or for conventions, things like that, or before LasagnaCon, which is my local micro convention where I make 80 portions of lasagna and we play for an entire weekend, old school stuff and board games. And the newsletter is at dream.lostpages.co.uk.
All right.
And there will be all the links in the homepage and in that anyway.
Yeah. And just like always, for those listening and or watching, I will remember as many of those links as I can and make sure they are in all of the descriptions below. So make sure you click on those. Just got to say, Paolo and the Lost Pages are one of my favorite publishers out there. Probably top 2 or 3 of the people doing the things that I love the most.
Oh, wow.
People like Lost Pages, Games Omnivorous, people that do it for love and make them so beautiful are definitely up there, especially in this scene. So I just want to say thank you for making awesome stuff, and thank you for taking, honestly, the months it took for us to finally have this meeting. But I hope this is the first of many, and just want to say thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. I'll be back very soon.
Awesome. So yeah, click on the links below, make sure you grab some Lost Pages, and we will see all of you later. Bye.
Bye.